Welcome back, truth seekers and trailblazers, to the Bigfoot, Wildman, and Boogers show, the podcast where shadows move, legends breathe, and Bigfoot might be closer than you think. Each week, we'll share real encounters, uncover the evidence, dig into the legend, and maybe uncover something new hiding in the woods.
We're here to bring you real encounters and all the wild, weird, and wonderful things that go along with Bigfoot, Wildmen, and Boogers. Whether you're a diehard believer, a backyard camper, or just curious, we're thrilled to have you with us.
Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us grow the tribe and even bring more wild encounters out of the woods and into your ears. Now, grab your gear and steady your nerves, and let's take the first step off the trail with our guest tonight, David Zigan.
Hello.
Hey, David. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. Well, we're excited to have you tonight. I'm enthralled with forensics.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Yes.
I love it. I just find it very interesting. So I'm so excited to hear what you're going to tell us. I'm so excited that you're going to be coming to the Ozark Mountain Bigfoot Conference. So, you're going to be speaking there, and anyone that sees you tonight, they'll be able to come to that on October the 4th and get to hear you speak again. And if they come to the camp out with us, which is the 4th through the 8th, you're actually going to be teaching some casting and forensics collection. So I'm really, I'm so excited for you to be able to do those things for us. So what I would like you to do for us tonight, David, is tell us how you got into the Bigfoot field. And then how will your forensics, how can you use that and help us move, the cause forward?
Right. So it turns out that I hadn't always, I don't have some grand story like everybody, like I've been looking or out there researching Bigfoot since they were, 12 or 13. I haven't gotten to see anything. But it started with some friends of mine out turkey hunting, being out in the woods and sitting around the fire. And I have a sergeant of mine who is really big into Bigfoot. And he pretty much turned me on to all the standard TV shows. And, I kind of got hooked. Sometimes we'd sit out there by the fire and we'd actually watch them on the tablet or, have a couple beers around the fire, watch this stuff.
Right.
And then it turned into, having a couple of experiences out in the woods ourselves. It was nothing that we would attribute to Bigfoot, none of the stereotypical things, but, just weird occurrences, things like that ended up leaving our minds open enough my mind open enough to be able to say, okay, there's obviously something out here I can't explain. I don't know what it is. And so why not Bigfoot? And then I was doing a bunch of studies on basically taking my fingerprint skills to another level. I've been going through some courses and doing a bunch of research, reading a bunch of research on understanding the distortion that happens when someone leaves a fingerprint or a footprint, being able to understand and basically analyze and determine what happened while that hand or the foot was making its depositional, its footprint or handprint.
Right.
And one day during lunch, I thought, well, hey, this would go right up there with casts and Bigfoot footprints, so let's take a look at the internet and see what I can find. Surely with all these footprints all over the place, someone has found some dermal ridges. And what I quickly discovered, their reports, their, people, alleging to have found these things, but there were no good photographs, and I found myself scrolling through the internet, that doom scrolling that you do.
Right.
And I was looking for something that I could use in the lab, something that I could zoom in and actually look at. And I couldn't find anything. And what I ended up finding were a couple that I thought looked interesting, but they were taken from the wrong angle, or I tried to zoom in and it would just pixelate. It was very disappointing because,
Mhm.
and then I had that thing in the back of my head is, what if some of these actually were, like actual Bigfoot footprints?
Right. Right.
But someone like me is just scrolling by going, nope, 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 not good
Right.
enough, not good
Right.
enough.
So
Well,
okay.
yeah.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Oh,
if I
no.
don't ask you this right now,
She'll
so
forget.
okay, right, I will. So let's say I have found a print, and all I've got is my iPhone. What is the proper procedure to get a picture that you're going to be able to use?
So, back in the day, we used to say cell phones were no good for this kind of thing. You had to have
Right.
a DSLR.
Right.
That's no longer the case. We've actually, just for experimentation, we've used our cell phones. My friend has an iPhone. I have an
They have
Android.
amazing cameras.
Yes, those days are over. You can absolutely use your cell phone to do these things. In my world, the case law is a little, it's different. We have some misnomers. There's a lot of police who think that if you use your cell phone, it's open to discovery, and they don't want some, defense attorney going through their phone.
Right. Right.
That's actually not how it works. They're just misinformed, but you absolutely can do an entire investigation with your cell phone. There's no reason why you can't. The only things I would caution against is zooming in with your cell phone. That's not an actual zoom. It's just enlarging the pixels.
Right.
So if you remember that alone, if you need to take pictures of something and get tiny details, then you bring the phone closer to what you're taking the picture of.
Right.
You don't zoom. If you zoom, you're just going to distort everything when someone like me
Okay.
comes along and tries to zoom in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, multiple angles, right? I mean, every angle you can possibly think of, from straight over it to side, back, anything and everything.
Yeah. So I'm actually, that's going to be one of the things that I talk about at your conference. I actually have a whole I have a whole presentation basically on what you should do prior to casting.
Okay.
And
Good.
it takes up the whole thing because that's what we're missing. The casting is great. The problem is everyone's treating the cast as the evidence.
Right.
And what it is just it's a bad copy of the evidence of what was there. I mean, you can get a lot of great details, but you still have to document where it came from.
Right. So the next question would be, and this is something that's a big thing, with Bigfooters, the researchers. So have you found, do you like, is hydrocal better? I mean, I know they used to do just like plaster, things like that. So have you tried multiples? Have you found one you like better? What?
Yes, we actually have experimented. Obviously, plaster is a no-go. You should never use plaster anymore.
Right.
It's just too brittle, doesn't pick up the details. Even while cleaning it with a brush afterwards, even though it's dry, you're still actually scraping details onto it. It just shouldn't be used.
Okay.
Ultra Cal 30, the one that everybody seems to be, using, it was promoted a while back. I mean, it's just a really good dental stone. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with it. It does just as good a job as some others. Some of the stuff that, we look at, we're getting into the nitty gritty, like, oh my gosh, look at this. I can see a pore better in this one than I can see a pore better in that one, than this.
Yeah.
Other.
Yeah.
I mean, those are tiny little details. The one that I found, believe it or not, is on Amazon called Perfect Cast.
Yeah.
We actually I've started using that one over some of the stuff that we were getting from some of the larger forensic places. I just found that it comes in 2 and 4 pound bags. 2 pounds is the regular human foot size, and it's
Mhm.
already in a resealable bag. So all you have to do is add your water. So you can
Wow.
just store it with you, take it with you, open it up, add the water, and then move on. I carry now, just in case, I carry a 2 pound and a 4 pound with me.
Right.
But I also carry a bunch of little Ziploc bags. So if I don't find anything, I go ahead and just mix up and I practice. I'll grab some deer, grab some raccoon,
Mhm.
just to practice, because we get used to being able to have it come out right under controlled circumstances. But you have some soil that's a little bit more wet than you're used to dealing with. You can do it the same way every time, but there are some things that you can do to make it come out a little better, than just doing it the same way every time for every soil condition.
Right. Well, yeah, because you're never going to find perfect conditions when you're out, looking for these things. It just doesn't happen, because tracks are one of the harder things to come across, even though, some people seem to be, they just seem to find them more. And maybe it's just the area they're in. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Mhm.
I
You
have it.
know,
Yeah. We'll not
yeah,
go there.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, it's like, and then there are people that go out and they never find them. Well, part of it, and we'll give them credit. Part of it, it's the part of the country you're in. Like here in Missouri, there are areas where it's rocky. You're not going to
Mhm.
You're not
find,
gonna get any tracks.
yeah, you're not going to find anything you can cast. You may find disturbances, that type of thing. You're not going to find anything castable. Now, if you're around the lake, you might. You're around a creek,
Mhm.
you might. It depends on the substrate you're in. So yeah, that's part of the country you're in makes a big difference too on what you can
Absolutely.
cast.
We have a lot of pine trees. There's nothing but pine straw on the ground.
Ah,
Not
yes.
helpful.
No, it is not. It is not. I understand that. And that's funny. There are parts in Missouri where there are large pine thickets.
Yep.
And, it's like you go through those and you're right. I mean, it's pine needles.
Spongy and
Mhm.
Yeah, you couldn't cast it if you had to. You might get a picture, but you're not going to get cast. So, okay, so we know, we've got our cast, we've got our perfect cast, which I wrote that down so I wouldn't forget that, because I think currently what I have is hydrocal, but I'm going to order some of the other and try
Do a
it too.
comparison.
Yeah. 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 See how because I mean, the hydrocals worked fine. We always, we do a demonstration, use it, and everybody mixes it different. Some people mix it straight in the bag. Some people want a bucket to mix it with, it's whatever your preference is, as long as it's
Mhm.
not lumpy, type of deal. I mean, yeah, you've got it mixed up.
Exactly.
It's good to go. Yeah. So, okay, we've got our casting stuff. What next?
You're talking about it if I came across
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
impression.
Yeah. Are you
So
going to, because I know people that are like, most people are like, don't touch it, don't touch it, don't touch it, so.
yeah, that was something that someone brought to my attention. I've been doing some analysis on some well-known casts for somebody, and they brought to my attention, like my world is, I pretty much have stepped away from trying to determine intent when we talk about finding dermal ridges and in things inside a cast that shouldn't be there or that are there in the wrong place. My initial response was, oh my gosh, these, someone's manipulated this or something like that. But then someone
Right.
brought to my attention that sometimes people get excited when they're searching for something like this, and then they stick their hand in it and they go, look how big. And
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I never thought of that. So I'm on a learning curve too for trying to learn how, some Bigfoot investigations have taken place in the past. But I think by now I'm hoping that that's no one does that.
Well, and I think people are better about it, but when you find a track, let me tell you what, there's like, you're like a little kid in a candy store, right? You're just like, oh my God, and you do lose your mind for a few minutes. It's like all your sanity goes away, because you're like, oh my God, I found a track. I found a track. And I can understand, some people doing stupid things because they're just excited, and it's like, okay, step back, take a breath. We need to, get our logical thinking back on
Right.
here and process
Right.
it.
And I think that just goes back to whoever's finding this track, what are they there for? Are they there to experience or just find things, or are they conducting or trying to conduct a legitimate investigation?
Right.
Because I found that there are a bunch of people from going to these conferences or the last Squatch Out, that there's a lot of people who just don't care about doing it right and don't care. They just want to go out and have an experience.
Yes.
And they'll tell you that flat out. And there's nothing wrong with it. There really isn't. So I guess I'm speaking to the people that do care about trying to do an actual investigation.
Yes.
And that moment, you're not wrong. Tunnel vision, excitement. One of the things you pretty much have to do, and I'm going to use a sports metaphor. I used to play baseball when I was a kid, is you're in your position and you think, what do I do when I get the ball? In this
Right.
moment, what do I do when I get the ball? So, I mean, you kind of have to do that. But if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing once you find it, then,
Exactly.
therein lies the issues. And that's kind of where I came along, and how I got into this is I don't get to spend as much time out in the field as a lot of other people, but I do have people sending me things for me to analyze.
Right.
So if I can get the word out on how to do this properly, then maybe one day I get something really cool across my desk, or
Exactly.
maybe someone actually does something and someone like me can't poke a hole in their investigation that they're doing.
Right.
Right.
Because everyone's going to. As soon as you find something, the world is poking holes. So
Oh, yes.
you have to do it better than a homicide, or at least the level of working a homicide. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but at this stage of the game, with 60 plus years of evidence, nothing has really changed. And we seem to be caught in a rut of doing the same thing over and over again. So something's got to give. We're going to have to start doing something different.
Exactly. That's what I love about you, because I'm very much, when I do my BFRO expeditions and I'm talking to people, to explaining to them what we're going to go out and do, I bring people in. So my new people, that this is first time they've ever gone out, we teach them how to do the basics of casting. We're teaching them, don't do this, do this, do that, whatever. I mean, it's an educational thing. We're not just out in the woods camping and having a good time.
Right.
They get, speakers every night. They are being taught things during the day, because my thought process is, if we can teach enough just regular Joes how to collect evidence properly, then at some point we're going to get something that the scientific community cannot poke a hole in.
Right. And, and that was one of the things that I noticed too when I started on this is, everybody was wanting the science community to participate. But they're doing, they're not necessarily like intentionally trying to poke holes in everything, or at least that's not what their intention is, or most
Right.
of them. That's how the Bigfoot community is taking it, because they're emotionally invested in this.
Yes, very much so.
And one of the first things science does is ask 1,000,000,001 questions. And what they're looking for is, did you do it a certain way that they're used to seeing it done to get actual consistent results?
Right.
And that's, like for me, when I find, if I were to find an impression, I have a whole list of things of where I start from. That I've been doing it the same way forever on actual homicides, though.
Right.
So for me, it's, oh crap, everyone back away, just get away.
Just get away.
I gotta protect my scene, and
Right.
And I've already thought, the next thing I'm doing, just like we've had outside scenes before, is I check the weather. How much time do
Mhm.
I have to do all of this? And do I have to start prioritizing certain things over other things?
Oh,
You know,
yeah, I guess that
to
would make
make
sense
sure
'cause it's
I
gonna
have
rain
time
or
to
yeah.
get stuff done right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and
Um,
that's and see, that's, we probably, I mean, that would not be the first thing I thought of when if I came up on tracks is, do I have time to pour this? How's my weather? That kind of thing. So, I mean, see, right, I've learned something
right.
right there.
And going straight to, pouring, no, you got about a half hour to 45 minutes before you even pour of documenting.
Mhm.
Um, so, and that's what I'm going to be talking about at yours and then this upcoming LBL thing, with pictures on how to do it right. In the beginning, I carried, like all these forms so I wouldn't forget what to do. And then, after so many times now it's ingrained up here. And I
Right.
forget that when I first started, I was using a form. We didn't all start off being like this. We
Right.
started off not knowing anything and had to have
Yep.
reminders, check ambient temperature, check axillary temperature on this person, all of
Well,
these.
and two, David, we didn't tell everybody what you do. If you
Oh,
would like to tell them, what you do, we're just assuming everybody knows, but if you'll tell them what you do and how long you've done it, might help them.
all right. So, uh, I'm coming up close to 22 years of active law enforcement. For the last 12 years, I have been assigned to the CSI unit. Before that, it was regular detectives. I was a polygraph examiner. I specialized in interviews and interrogations.
Wow.
And then, I was working persons crimes, like all the high end stuff. And I started to get burned out a little bit. Where I work, I was getting called out like every 2 or 3 nights. And
Mhm.
I was getting burned out. And I had met one of the main crime scene people here, and an opening came up, and I said, "Hey, I'm interested in that. I'm tired. Let me see what this is." And honestly, I should have been doing this all of my life.
Wow.
We have just enough crime that keeps us super busy and high level crimes that keep us super busy, but we also have a few downtimes where we get to do research and write and publish and things like that. So it's really cool. So shortly after I joined the crime scene unit, I went to the National Forensics Academy up in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Um, and that was an eye opener. When we
Oh,
talk
I
about
bet.
how to document every tiny little detail and all, and in introduction to there was a lot of introductions to different fields within crime scene that you may or may not want to specialize in. Like I found I really didn't want to do anything with bugs. I briefly entertained it going into entomology,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
I ultimately changed my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was already very, very interested in latent fingerprints at the time, in fingerprint analysis and things like that. And luckily, like I said, our agency values education. So if you're not doing something, they're asking you why you're not doing it. So I got to take a crap ton of courses, and like when I say crap ton, you think about like college level, like the hours you put in for
Yeah.
college, and I have like was it close to 3,400 hours now just in training, and 12
Damn.
1,300 just in forensics. And then I got to be certified. I'm a certified latent fingerprint examiner, certified crime scene. I've been cross-trained on bloodstain pattern analysis, shooting incident reconstruction, and crime scene reconstruction.
So
I,
you know what you're talking about.
yeah, I belong to several organizations that we have to belong to, and
Right.
I've been published several times. Tried to write a book for the Bigfoot community. That was actually already written for the crime scene world, and I thought
Yeah.
it would be fun to push it off into the Bigfoot world. Um, eh.
Well, and you need to bring some of those with you
Yeah.
when you come to the conference
I,
because, yeah, you need to bring those, we'll definitely be into that. But
yeah. so now I'm working on several different pretty large projects. I think I mentioned to you before that if I was going to be analyzing casts and even alluding that even a bear might have touched something, then I
Hmm.
figured I have to know something about bears.
Right.
So I started a study on bear paw prints and have been working closely with several zoos and sanctuaries. And hopefully in the spring of next year, that should be concluded. The paper is pretty much already done. I have my data. I'm missing the beautiful photographs that go with it. They're very hard to get.
Oh,
You
I
don't get
bet.
to
Yeah.
just put a bear to sleep and go take their pictures.
Right.
Right. No.
Yeah, you just can't call this thing.
As nicely.
No,
Yeah. Can
no,
you put this bear to sleep today so I can get some pictures? Doesn't quite work
right?
that way, does it?
No.
No. So,
Yeah.
and I'm using a bunch of stuff that I learned in the National Forensic Academy and just, work experience. I'm working on another book as well. And it's called The Missing Bones Problem and why we
Oh,
may
okay.
never find Bigfoot's bones. So, chapters dedicated to how bones break down in different environments where animals go to die, those kind of things.
Okay.
How even when we're looking for lost hikers, how it takes us forever to find it,
Yeah, it's
a long list.
interesting. Yeah, I've watched like videos of they stake out a deer carcass in the woods and how fast that thing disappears is unreal.
Yeah. And
And
then the
then
bones get scattered by the scavengers and
exactly. And I did not realize before I got into this that deer will even eat bones.
yeah,
You know,
so
I
many
mean,
different things.
yeah, you never would think, well, okay, it's the calcium in them. I mean, I understand now, but you never think about that.
Right.
So it's like, it's no wonder you don't find bones.
Mhm.
I mean, really, it's amazing when we do find bones of animals, just regular animals with
Yeah.
everything that's out there. So yeah, I find that fascinating. So I can't wait for that book to come
Mhm.
out. So
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah, there's I was just thinking about the process that I'm really, really want people to, it takes a lot of extra work, and I think that's the biggest problem, with this
yeah.
kind of thing. It almost takes some of the fun away, when you're having to do a slew of documenting and writing and and
Like,
documenting
why
every
am I
tiny
doing
little
this?
thing.
Yeah,
Right. And
exactly.
a lot of people don't care because they're not the ones who are going to be using the data that they collect.
Exactly. And there are some
And
people
that's
it doesn't matter what you put in front of them. They're not gonna believe it. They don't care. That's not how they're, you know,
Right.
it doesn't. And that's sad because I think in this genre, you have to stay open-minded. We're dealing with something that we absolutely really don't know that much about. We think we do, but we don't have the proof of it. And, it's like you've got to kind of stay open-minded about it. Once you get closed-minded about anything, you're done, you know.
yes. And I think the other issue that we have, and I'm saying we because I'm now considering myself as part of the Bigfoot community.
Yay!
I pretty
Yeah.
much I used to say like what you guys and now I'm like, nah, let's just go ahead and say we.
Yeah. I've suckered in. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a fun hobby. I'm still getting to use what I do at work, but somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think one of the biggest problems, and it's a huge, huge one, is relying too much on singular experts.
Mhm.
And I even found that, I've only been trying to do this for a year and a half, and I I got so discouraged that at least I had somebody tell me, just wait it out. They actually told me what I was going to do. Like, here's the path I see you doing. You're going to start here, go here, and then you end up going to stop doing this and like revert back. And they were absolutely right. What I found was people were happy to have me on board as long as I basically fit within their narrative of what happened.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I've been asked to change my opinions on my papers or writings. If I said inconclusive due to this, could I just not put the due to this part and just leave it inconclusive so they could have more content or something to say online? And that was so disheartening that kept happening.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
then I had to really start searching out, the real people who actually cared and were trying to do real research. And what I
Yes.
discovered is there aren't that many.
No, some of them are just in it, for the attention or, what they can get out of it. They really don't care if they prove it or not. Other people they're going to be the one that proves it regardless, and you have a small group that's out there. That's like, okay, let's teach people about this, let's teach, let's share, let's do. That's one of the biggest things that you will hear me, if you listen to me long enough, I call it the old guard, and they don't want to share anything. They don't want you to know anything.
Gatekeeping, yeah.
Yeah, it's gatekeeping. I'm going to tell you what I know, and that's it. I'm not going to show you how I know it. I'm not going to show you my evidence. I'm not going to do any of this. And it's like, that's part of the reason we're no farther down the road
Right.
than we
Yes.
are, is because of all the old guard who kept all their evidence and they wouldn't share anything. And it's like, you maybe have people out here that's had stuff happen, but they're afraid to say anything about it because nobody else is talking about it. You may have a researcher who has found some incredible things, but he's not sharing it because nobody else is saying anything about it. So it's like, if we could get people to share their evidence, and I'm not saying I don't want you to share the GPS to your location of where you go squatching. No, I'm wanting you to share your evidence,
Right.
your photos, your casts, your knowledge. Just share.
Your stories, yeah.
I absolutely agree with you, and I've run across that. And unfortunately, for me, the first thing that I do when somebody acts like that is I write them off. And I just go, okay, well, you're of no value to me. You're of no value to the community. Apparently, you don't understand what real research is. So now I can't trust you.
Yeah.
And I just dismiss them.
Mhm.
And that's part of the reason why they say science is, not on board with this. And I'm like, well, you're not playing like the science people. The science
Exactly.
people, like when I reached out for bear stuff, I sent a slew of emails out to all these different sanctuaries that were close to me and zoos. I got responses from all of them.
Right.
Some of them were not so great, but at least they communicate, right?
Right.
In the Bigfoot world, when I did that, I only had 2 respond out of all the big people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was extremely suspect to me because I also sent my CV along with what I was planning on doing,
Right.
like you would in the academic world.
Right.
And I literally it was crickets. And I thought, well, that's weird. I thought you guys wanted science. I thought you wanted this.
Right.
And then I found I don't think that that's necessarily true for the majority. I think it's only true for a select few.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because if science, because science will disprove several of these people, if they were to bring their stuff in, however they came across it, it's going to disprove it. And then they're going to be out, so they don't want science in it. That's one of the things that you find. It's like some of these people have all kinds of stories, and I mean, have some whopper of stories, but they don't have anything to back it up. It's just me and my crew were out doing this.
And the biggest problem, and I just showed this to somebody, we've been using AI at work for a couple of years now, to do some of our heavy lifting. Like when I go to publish an article and I have all my references, I'll drop it in there and go, put this in alphabetical order and check the APA format, make sure it's correct or something like that. And boom. But I recently showed Wayne from Manimal.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hey, check this out. I want to show you something that's really neat. And because he was doing a show where people who didn't want to come on but wanted to remain anonymous. They would write letters and then he would read it. And I
Right.
said, you need to be careful with that. And he was like, why? And I said, I can make one of those letters in less than 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And I went online, logged in because we're on the
Boop.
paid for platform, and I
Right.
made one just like it with a really nice prompt. And I said, look at that. There's your whole letter. And I said, and I can do one for every single night and have a podcast that's just this.
Yep.
And I can just do it over and over and over. I said, now what stops me also from coming onto a show and just having rehearsed that incident?
Exactly.
And just like you said, I was like, that's great. It's great anecdotal evidence. Where I chalk it up is I have all these different files where I go, this is, evidence, this is evidence, this is evidence. And then I go, and this one stays over here by itself until I have a whole bunch that kind of match that. But then you still have to be careful that it's not just repeating what other people have been saying.
Yes.
So it's really hard.
It is, because I mean, as great as podcasts are for, education, people listen to enough of them and they hear the same thing over and over and over, and they can spout it, themselves and say, hey, I mean, so yeah, you always have to, like on the Encounter podcasts, I know these guys cannot vet all of this stuff, so it's like you kind of have to listen to those with having in mind of, okay, they maybe not. I mean, you're just listening for the entertainment of those, essentially.
And absolutely. And I see the catch-22 as well. I mean, you have a show, and if you start calling people out on the show, you're going to run out of guests. You're going to be that person who calls them out. They're not going to like it. And then someone else is like, well, I'm not going on there. They're going to ask me the hard questions.
Right.
I don't have it. So
yeah, exactly. And I get it. And it's like you said, AI is a great tool when it's used properly, and
it's tough to use it properly. I've been using the same one for a while now, and you basically have to teach it you.
Yes.
You can't just log into a new thing every day, because it's actually using every conversation you've had before to model how it's going to be responding to you now.
Right.
Because I've given it prompts before. I'm like, hey, I told you before to stop putting. There was these long dashes called M dashes.
Yeah.
And I said, stop putting M dashes in your response. I said, I thought I told you to update your memory. Oh, you did. I'm like, so why are and my friend's like, why are you arguing with that? Just tell it to do it and move on. And I'm like, I know, but I just want to know why.
Right? I've told it once. Come on.
I'm like, tell me the technical reason on why you're still doing this. And then it tells me, and I'm like, oh, well, crap. So that's pointless. I was like, do you do this with other things? Sometimes I do. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
The bottom line is it's written to be helpful. And sometimes if it doesn't know an answer, it'll actually make up an answer for you.
Yeah.
I've asked it for a resource. It said something and I thought it sounded a little off. And I said, provide me an actual resource in APA format. I want to look it up. And it was a mixture of 3 different papers in the citation. And I was like, that doesn't exist. I was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Thing.
Yeah. So like you said, you have to be really, really careful with AI.
Yeah.
Or at least know what you're doing while you're working it.
Exactly. And not that many people right now know, they're playing with it and they're learning. And it's like, you've got all these stupid AI photos out there right now. And it's like, oh my gosh, that just drives me nuts. People are like, oh, look at this. It's like, no, it's AI.
Yeah. And there's a commercial that's nationally running on television right now. And it's all AI. It's an advertisement for like a personal safety device. It's all AI.
Even something as simple as paint.net. It's the free version of Photoshop. In that presentation I have, I basically put my foot down in some sand and over a tire from my bike that I rode. And you get to see the before and 30 seconds of me just deleting the tire impression and the impressions from my shoe. So it just looks like a non, you know,
Yeah.
there's no tread in it.
Yeah,
And
it's
I was
nondescript
like,
kind of
and
thing.
you've
Yeah.
seen a billion of these on the look what I found on the trail today.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm saying it's an example of look, I can do this in 30 seconds. This is why you have to have all these other photos to go with it to show it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't get to, you know, it's you could do it and spend the time, but no one wants to spend the time doing that for like 50 something photos.
Well, and two, you know, when you get these photos of, oh, look what I found, and it's one picture and there's no lead up to it, there's no after, it's just one picture. It's like, no. I mean, I get it if you're out walking and you find one, right? But it's like, okay, this is where we need to do better, people. You know, you document the print, document the area, and like if nothing else, you're taking photos with your phone, and you're videoing, and you're doing things like that. When somebody's taking the time to do all of that, I'm going to pay more attention to it because, you know, okay, they found something. They're showing you all this. When it's just, oh, I found this on the trail, it's like,
No, you didn't.
no, you didn't.
That's what I think. That's what I think, right? When I see that. And I go, hey, that looks really interesting. Could I see the other pictures that you took with that? And they're like, oh, well, this is all I got. I'm like, okay, never mind, unfriend.
Yeah. Next.
I don't have time for this.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Well, yeah. And it's, yeah, exactly. And people just don't think about those things. You know, it's like, if you just stop and use a little bit of common sense when you're documenting things, you know, then you're going to get a lot farther down the road because you've taken the time to do these things. And when we present it then to someone like you, you're like, okay, this person actually has documented some stuff. I can look at this.
It lends more credibility to the whole process.
Right.
It just really does. Yeah. Because I know not everyone is going to do what I'm going to do.
Right.
You know, eventually, I hope someone, you know, people will. But it takes a while to learn. You know, it's not as easy. You know, like I went to all these classes and I didn't walk away just remembering to do everything.
It's repetition.
I made a lot of mistakes along the way. Okay. I mean, it's true. I mean, you don't just go take a class and now you know how to do it and you remember to do it right when you're in the moment.
No.
Right.
You know, you're going to mess up.
You'll forget step 3.
And that's okay. The problem is you don't make up a reason for why you didn't. You just own it. Yeah. You know, just like you'd say, oh, you know what? I forgot to do that.
Yeah, I forgot.
You know, I wasn't thinking. You know, I did collect DNA, but I just want to let you know I messed up and I had my gloves stored inside my front pocket. You know, so they're already contaminated inside my pocket, but I did put gloves on. Just want to let you know. You know, that's some major credibility to own up to some of those things, to let you know in case something happens, this is what it was. Because I've had to do that myself and go, you know, that blood stain that was over there looks weird. I dropped a camera lens in that.
Oh my gosh.
But you told them. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
They know that
like, it looks weird now because
of this. Right. Exactly. Well, and I think, you know, like we keep going back to, it's like people that have what they believe to be legit evidence, they're going to give you everything and show you everything and go, this is what I got. Tell me. It's the ones, like you said, that hold back, that are the ones that you go, okay, what are you not telling me here? What are you not giving me? You know, yeah, exactly. So it's half one dozen the other, but you know, you do what you do, you keep on. And hopefully at some point we'll get to a point where people have gotten past the, you know, hoarding of evidence. We get past, you know, the making up of evidence, you know, all the things. I mean, probably not. I'm trying not to be.
That'll never stop.
Never. Right.
That'll never stop.
No. Oh, I know.
We gotta have something to put on our Instagram.
Right. Oh my gosh. Right. Well, and this is the thing about it. These people that put this stuff on there, they just slay me because it's like, if you actually went out and spent some time in the woods, you could actually find something, you know, those people are the ones that go down to the park and do whatever, because I heard someone talking about that most of the researchers out there are not out there very much. I mean, it's a very, very small percentage who are boots on the ground, weekend after weekend after weekend. Most of them just aren't doing that, and it's like, there's some of them that it's like, yeah, hey, let's go out here and camp. Well, to me, that's not research. That's you're camping for the weekend. If something happens, great, but are you prepared to document it? Do you have video? Do you have, audio? Are you ready to go? I mean, there's nothing wrong with going out to camp, but if you're going to research, you need to have other things going on while you're out there camping.
You
you
not
need to
wrong. I have, and getting excited, especially like about audio. I have some great audio things that I've recorded, and nothing hurts worse, to a crime scene person to listen to this and then go, that is really weird, and then realize that is all you'll ever have. It's really weird because you have nothing else contextual to go with it other than you pulled this recorder out of the woods. You got this weird banging and knocking. You don't know what it is, but it's basically worthless, but it's something interesting. And
yes,
I go, well, that's really weird. That's interesting. Maybe it'll help me determine where to go do more investigations.
Yeah, exactly.
But it technically doesn't count as evidence unless it's alongside of a bunch of other pieces of evidence.
Yep, exactly. But it's one of the pieces of the puzzle. If you're doing things right, it's one of the pieces that you can add to your collection of things. I've heard some bizarre things, and there's been a time or two where we've heard them and nobody had a recorder going, and it's like, oh,
nobody brought anything. What?
I have heard that so many times that I'll have that I always have a recorder going now. I get out of the car and I go tink
immediately, right? When we were first learning. I had somebody say, I am mic'd up, because they just carried a little recorder that had an external mic like on their hat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, before I get out of the car, I turn it on, because they said there have been times I've gotten out of the car, shut the door, and before I could turn my recorder on, there's a knock or a whoop or a something, right? And they missed it because they weren't recording yet. So they were like, and I thought that was really cool, and they're like, always at night when you're sleeping in the tent, turn a recorder on. There's like, we did that one time. So we went to a private property in North Missouri, and the gentleman is like, I've seen him here. I've lived here for 30 years. I've seen him like 5 or 6 times. It's a family, right? And so me and 6 others, I think, we went and camped on his property for the weekend, right? And there were definitely some weird goings on, right? And so we put the recorder out, let it play all night. About 3 hours into it playing, we've got 6 knocks in a row. Just knock, knock, knock. Perfect. They're perfect. We're like, and I keep asking people, how many knocks do you get? What's the average?
I was about to ask you, like, when you get them, you said 6. Was it 3 and 3, or was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right in a row?
Right in a row.
Okay.
Right in a row. And it's like, what is that? So I'm asking people, how many knocks do you generally get? They're like 1, 2. That's about it. And I'm like, okay, what is 6 about? Right? It's weird. It's weird. So, I mean, I don't know, you can hear, so we learned really quickly, because he has like a man-made pond, good sized, and his house is on the other side of it. And we were camping, the pond was in between us. And so they have a metal roof on their house. So when the acorns and walnuts are hitting it, they make a distinct sound,
right?
So
Yeah, I've
you've
heard that.
got,
I know what that sounds like. Yeah.
yeah, right. There's a metallic sound to that,
It'll startle you at first, but
Yeah, you'd be like, "What?"
It
that's
does.
Oh,
It does.
that's what
Yeah.
it is.
But these knocks were nothing like that, So it's like, it's just interesting. Some of the stuff you can get is just, it's bizarre. You listen to it and go, I can't tell you what that is. It's definitely interesting, but can't tell you what it is. So,
yeah, it
but
was disappointing once I realized that. I was like, I had nothing else from that time. All I have is a recorder. I was like, okay, fine, fine. I'll put it in the little file labeled with the date and location and call it a day.
yeah, exactly.
I was
That's
like,
that's kind of
damn.
what you have to do. Yeah.
But I'm going
kinda-
back. I'm going back because by God, that shouldn't have been like that there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Well, and but you have to look at it. Okay. So you got that, something's going on out there. So you go back. It's like you said, it helps you pinpoint the areas that you want to go back into, and sometimes that's like we were talking earlier. You pieces of that like that will bring you to other conclusions, your time that you were there, was it daytime, nighttime, these sounds. I mean, it lets you be able to hone in on what's a prospective time for you to come back. And maybe when you do that, you get more information, that type of stuff, But at this point, sometimes it feels like it's no more than a guessing game.
Right.
That, you're again nail on the head. I had I got one of those was it wildlife acoustics recorders?
Yes, I have those. Yeah.
And I had one out for almost a month, and there was only 3 nights
That it
everything
recorded.
was
Oh wow.
no, I mean it recorded for the month, but it was only 3 nights that I got something.
Oh,
And I
okay.
was so for me, I'm like, well, what's so special about those nights? What was the temperature? And I'm like on the computer model, trying to map everything out, trying to find the pattern. And
Right.
ultimately I cannot find anything. I'm like, why? Why those 3?
Right. Exactly. I get that too, because you're like, what was, like with those 6, it's like, okay, we were all there, didn't hear it, right? One gentleman did. One of the guys was still up because he sleeps like a couple hours and he's up, sleeps a couple hours, and he's like, you need to go listen to this at about this time. He's like, I heard this. I said, okay, and so, where I'm going through it and you can hear all of us and everything else, and sure enough, it's there, and I'm like, okay. I said, have you ever heard 6 before? And that's what I'm hung up on. It's like 6. Why do we have 6? Somebody's like, how many were with you? And I had to go, oh, more than 6. And they were like, oh, okay. Because, sometimes they'll say, oh, they knock however many of you are in the woods. And it's like, no, no,
it's not good enough. No,
exactly. No.
Let's try.
Yeah. Try again. I don't like that answer.
Next.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got a recording that lasts almost a little over 3 minutes at the LBL, and it legit sounds like someone like building a house. Like just banging, moving wood, stuff falling down, banging, moving. And it goes on for like 3 minutes and then just stops. And I'm like, what the
heck
I call it. That's what I call. I was like, I got this recording of someone building a house in the LBL at 3:30 in the morning. So that's cool.
like you do. Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
It's all right. I have a different method now. I have a lot of recorders.
Right.
So I'm going to try to set them up in a way that will help me figure out the location of the sound if it's within them.
Oh, okay.
By listening to one, listening to the other, determining, which one's closer, farther.
Yeah. Okay.
Try to triangulate it a little bit to try to figure out where I need to go looking. But you know how long it takes to listen to all that.
Oh, that's the thing with audio. It's like you're just like, okay,
Record it, but you got to listen to it.
But then you got to listen to it. Exactly.
I find that it soothes me when I'm at work typing, and I have all those crickets and everything going, I'll put my
Mhm.
headphones on while I'm typing reports or something and just have the crickets going on in the
Oh,
back.
yeah,
And
yeah.
if something comes, I'm like, whoop, whoop. Let's look at
Like,
it.
hold on.
Right.
That wasn't crickets. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Right. Or
exactly,
interrupt you. Why did
exactly.
the crickets stop?
Yeah,
Ah,
exactly, exactly. Well, and so, we'll kind of start to wrap things up here, but one of the things I wanted to tell you, David, is so the private property that we're going to go to for the camp out, that county in the state of Missouri has the largest bear population.
nice.
So,
I'm
if nothing
excited
else,
about
you might
that.
find some bear.
Do you know, I actually go, I know there's a bear on a creek that's about half a mile from here, and I go there all the time looking for his tracks, and I keep
Uh-huh.
missing him. I keep missing him. It's making me mad because I know where he's at.
Oh,
Like
you know he's there.
it'll be on Facebook, the neighborhood thing
Yeah.
or Facebook for the, different
Yeah.
subdivisions. They're like, we saw him, he's over here. I'm like, gone. I gotta
You'll
go
think,
find
man.
him.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
like, I could
exactly.
never find him. I'm like, oh, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
lots of bears. Cool.
Yeah, yeah, there's lots of bears, and it's really funny, but the bears don't come on his property a whole lot. They're, like, all around it, but not on his.
Well, that's interesting.
Isn't it? Isn't
Does he
it? Because
have
it's like,
does this guy have any theories as to why?
well, he thinks because they're not the apex predator on that property, because when he first moved there in the state of Missouri, you could get on the Missouri, Conservation Department's website, and they were tracking the bears, right? And so he could look at where they were at around his property. And he said they never came on it. He goes, if they did, it was like they cut through a corner or they just cut through, but they did not hang out on his property. Now they were all over the properties around it, but not his. And it was like, okay, well, that's interesting because you would think, bears would be fairly non-discriminate about where
Wherever.
they're
Right.
going, right?
Yeah, they usually are.
So, it does it prove anything? No. Is it interesting? Yes. So, but we laugh because
How big is the property?
his property's 60 acres.
60 acres.
Yeah. And they kind of avoid it. Like I said, they pass through, but they don't hang out. They don't hang out for any amount of time. So yeah, I tell everybody, yeah, bring your bear spray, just in case. You never know, I mean, we're so loud, they won't mess with us, but
Right.
it's like, bring it anyway. So, all right. Well, David, we are coming up on our hour here. We are so glad that you came and hung out with us tonight. And I can't wait to, get to spend some more time with you this weekend and, learn things from you.
Pick your brain more.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, and then, we'll get to spend some more time together in October and, hopefully after we've done all this, I'm looking forward to maybe bringing you on to some of my BFRO stuff too. I think that would be very interesting for people to get some one-on-one time with you like that.
Well, that would be fun. Anytime I can help, I would love to.
Well, good. Well, with that, we're going to, get out of here. So, okay, tribe, that's all for this episode tonight of the Bigfoot, Wildman, and Boogers show. Thanks for wandering the Missouri woods with us today.
If you enjoyed today's encounter and want to keep these legends alive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps keep track of the wild and legendary encounters that make this place so special.
We'll be back soon with more mysteries, more encounters, maybe a few surprises hiding in the shadows. And if you hear giggles in the woods, it might not be the squirrels. So with that, keep your boots muddy, your eyes on the tree line, and remember, show me your Bigfoot.